Hey parents, this is our introduction video for goals. In my class, we have goals that we set for the students that I have discovered need to be in place for them to be successful in their reading. When the students come in to my classroom, we have 4 main goals. Every once in a while there's something different, but these are going to be the 4 main that impact their reading the most. Goal 1 is letter names. Goal 2 is letter sounds. Goal 3 is usually nonsense words. And goal 4 is usually tricky words. Now, nonsense words is usually the one where my students get stuck, but if we switch it, it makes it a little too difficult. So usually if they finish this goes very quickly. So let's talk about what it looks like in my room to do goals. I have a goal page that we fill out, and I call the students up and we talk about what their goal is, what they can do to help meet their goal, and then we will date it when they hit their goal. So we date the initial and then we date when they hit their goal, then we write a new goal. This starts with the letter names, then goes to letter sounds, then I add a new page for the nonsense and then the tricky words. We take the tests for whatever goal that is, and then we chart it on our goal tracking meter. This one is set for our letters and sounds. I have another one for our nonsense words and another one for our tricky words. So each week they color as they move up the goal. If for some reason they do not move up their goal, I will always write it over here to the side. When they finish their goal, we take it off the wall and we send it home. I send it home with them. So you should be able to see how they moved through their goal and if there were weeks that they got stuck or anything like that. When they get their new goal, if they finish all 4 goals, I will send you their folder with all of their goal information in it. It doesn't work to send it home along the way. When they get into their goal, there's homework that goes with that. I'm gonna make videos for each of those homeworks so you know how to complete them. Also why that goal is important. I chose these 4 goals for the reading process because if they can't do their letter names, oftentimes they can't do their letter sounds. If they can't do their letter names and sounds very quickly, they cannot do nonsense words. And then our final step is the tricky words because it takes so long for us to introduce them. I would rather them not have to do them as much on their own, but it does give them that final goal of getting those finished. I'm gonna show you what the tests look like. I have a letter test, which looks like this, and the sound test, which is the same. I just have it labeled different at the top for me. It is just the 26 capitals and the 26 lowercase letters jumbled up. They will read through the lines of letters saying their names, then read through the sounds on the sound test. This helps a lot starting to build their fluency. We talk a lot about we want to read in a fluent way so that when I'm reading a book about a monster, the monster came to school instead of the monster came to school. And we start to talk about that in letters because a lot of my friends in letters, it sounds like this, X, O, Z, E. Well, if they read it like that, if they say their letter sounds like that, they cannot finish in the time frame. So we start to work about X, O, Z, E, H, and just to work on that fluency. They have 1 minute to say all of their letters. And I am well aware that some kids get stressed out by time. My son personally gets very stressed out by any timer set. But I tell them our goal is to know our letters so well that 1 minute is too much time. And if we don't, and I move you on just because you finish them, when you get to nonsense words, you're gonna get very frustrated. So I'd rather you work on this till you've mastered it so well that the that the nonsense word section doesn't frustrate you so much. Because when they start to read, their brain has to process, what is that letter? What is the sound that goes with that letter? And then sounds together to connect to then put that word together. The only way for them to meet our nonsense word goal in a minute, because I set it high, I set it at 40 words a minute, which is high for that goal. But I set it that way because I do not want them going at cat when they leave first grade. If they have to read, then that's fine. But my goal is that they don't have to, because their reading will not be proficient if they're having to do that for every single word. So we want to do what's called smooth blending, where they go cat. And if they go to smooth blending like that, they can finish 40 words in a minute. So that's why I set it high, higher than what you would think, because I do not want them sounding it out and blending, because that's not going to help them in second and third grade, as they're having to read more in a shorter amount of time. So then our final one, or I'm sorry, let me show you the nonsense words. So that's letters and sounds. Nonsense words, I have different ones. It's just different words jumbled up. I never want them to memorize the nonsense words. I want them to connect the sounds and read them. So they should never be memorizing words. In fact, when they take their homework home, I don't want them memorized. I want them to read the sounds and connect them so that they're reading well when they're moving it to their regular reading. That's nonsense words. And then the last one for most kids, I have a few of my friends this year who will do this early, but most of the time we end with tricky words. We do 146 tricky words. We will not finish introducing these till after Christmas. So that's why I put it later on, so that they're not having to learn it without me introducing it, because that can cause some frustration. So I'm gonna be making the videos for each of the goal homeworks. When you come into this playlist, if your child switches goals, go find the video that goes with that goal so you understand why we're doing it and how to complete their homework for it. Okay, have a great day. Bye.